It is Saturday again, and this is the Saturday Night Mouse Party. I'm Dan Foss, and tonight we have DJ Play Nice. How are you doing, DJ?
I'm doing well. Glad to be here.
Gun websites. What's going on?
Good afternoon. Thanks for hosting.
And then there's the pride of Chesley, Oklahoma, Gizzard Gary. How you doing?
Pride of what? I'm not from Oklahoma. Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. And I am putting out in the chat here. Let me get this week's poll. I will pin it. There we go. So if you haven't voted in this week's poll, you can jump on over there real quick. Let me. There we go. So let's take a look, see who was out there so far tonight. Guns and Barbecue. And Krabby Turtle saying happy every second matters. It is the second of the month, a day for sparking conversations about the Second Amendment. And Gear Websites. DJ Play Nice. Sergeant Joe Smith. Wesley Foster. Gun Websites. MCK. And Garage Guy. 879. 223 DMR. G23. Yeah, thank you. Let me get the banner going.
23 even know that he won a giveaway on our show earlier today?
Ooh, what do you win?
Tony Simon 2A for E first edition patch, and then Daily Gun Show.
There we go. So at the bottom of the screen, there's a ticker with an email address, untacticalfoss@gmail.com, and a link. You can send in comments, suggestions, pictures within reason. And if you watch this in replay, leave a comment. Anything we talk about, agree with, disagree with, think we left out, let me know. I always read the comments. They're always appreciated. And in the description, there's a link for the Overnight Gilded server. It's a place to hang out, share pictures. You can get a hold of me there. Or pretty much anybody that comes on the panel, you can get a hold of them through there also. X Adam One's out there. Good evening. All righty. I had just thought of something and then just forgot of what I had just thought of.
Your poll?
No, I don't think that was it, but I don't know.
New sticker designs?
I showed two of them. I don't have the Rocking Bullwinkle one out here. And there's two more ones that I'm having made, but I can't remember which ones they were. And there might be one more after that I'll do. And I think that's pretty much all the ones that I had.
The Hanna-Barbera series, or is it a different set than that?
Well, it wasn't. I didn't do them specifically as Hanna-Barbera. When I went through and was doing them, it was just cartoons that I liked, as a kid.
Okay.
And just kind of whatever came to mind. It was stuff that I don't know. I kind of went with ones that don't generally have a gun with them, but I could theme it with a gun and it would look good and kind of make sense. So there was kind of pretty narrow criteria I was using, but it was just kind of a creative outlet, I guess. And I don't know, I can I'll look at my Instagrams here. And I can show the last one here. Oop, there we go. So let me share the screen. Instagrams. But this was the last one that I did.
That's freaking awesome.
I really liked it. It looks a lot in person. It looks better. When I took the picture, Bullwinkle comes out real dark, and it's hard to see the details, like especially the hat. So I changed the color a little bit so you could see more of the details. And I know it looks like he's holding a carbine, but that's supposed to be an M14.
Oh, it looks like a carbine.
Yeah. But the reference that I used, this is what it looks like. So maybe it's just the limit of the artist.
Well, it looks like it's the same length as the Tommy gun.
Yeah, it's not to scale. The Tommy gun, I made that size just so it fit. If I made it smaller, you kind of start losing detail. So it ended up being a little bigger. But yeah.
Completely
Yeah.
forgivable, as it makes it that much funnier that's what he's holding, is his diminutive size already. Kind of the same way in reverse for Bullwinkle.
But then this was the other two, the Top Cat and Huckleberry Hound.
Well, I guess Bullwinkle ain't Hanna-Barbera, right?
No, it's
Mm-mm.
Bullwinkle.
I think it starts with a D. It was I can't remember. But yeah, they're just kind of, I wanted to have a physical representation of the drawings, so I made stickers. But we've got a Ron Wayne, and Woods is out there. And Bubba, Triclops Ballistic. Good evening. So let's take a look at this week's poll. Let me call that one up.
I didn't like it.
Uh-oh. So what meat do you eat most often? Beef, chicken, pork, fish, or a meat substitute, like soy or tofu or whatever? And it was a close battle between beef and chicken, which I expected. Chicken at 45%, beef at 44%, pork at 5%, fish at 2%, and meat substitute 4%. So that did a little better than I expected. I knew there'd be at least one vote for it.
Not me.
Really?
Hell no, I don't eat that stuff.
Oh, I thought you did.
No, that's usually people that are playing around or somebody trying something. Same way that somebody thinks like, well, I shouldn't say, I would say Pizza Hut is authentic pizza, but Pizza Hut is kind of authentic pizza. But the same way that somebody just tries something and goes, oh, okay.
I didn't vote for it, but I've got tofu in the refrigerator and TVP in the cupboard. So I'm not opposed at all.
Tofu doesn't really taste like anything. It's there to soak up the flavor of whatever it's in. It's a filler.
Goat wasn't on the list. You get a lot of goat.
No, I don't think I've ever had goat.
What?
You don't know what you're missing, man.
I've petted a goat, but never eaten a goat.
Drank goat milk?
Eat goat cheese?
Goat cheese?
I've probably had goat cheese. I don't think
Isn't
I've had-
feta goat cheese?
It can be. It isn't exclusively.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've never had goat and haven't had goat milk. But I've probably had goat cheese once or twice.
I've had goat 3 or 4 times in my life, and I must say it was pretty good.
I'm only in on it once. Cabrito in tacos in Oaxaca. And I honestly don't remember how I felt about it. It was kind of like adventure dining at the time. I haven't done the goat milk thing. Goat cheese, yeah, that's no problem.
The biggest thing for goat is when you make like a whole goat in the backyard barbecue. You get some
Yep.
cultures that do that and they know what they're doing. And
That's good.
it's sort of like a cow or a pig, but pigs are kind of gross when you do that. I don't know. You got to like that because it gets really raw, in my opinion, but whatever. So, pigs are a whole different thing. It's a big thing. And cow is insane. Like you could do a piece of a cow in a normal backyard, but you need like a giant ranch to do like a whole cow because it's just so huge. So a goat is actually something you could do in a backyard. So I've been around a couple of goats in the backyard type of thing. And if I was going to eat anything in the backyard, cooked completely, well, except for a fish, obviously you could cook a fish whole. But if you're going to cook something whole, I guess a chicken or something, I'm not going to eat that. But anyway, goat, I think you get the best, what's the word? Like the most of it, it gets cooked. Imagine it on a spit of all the different critters that you can put on a spit and cook over a fire. I think goat cooks the best because it's all about the same amount of thickness of meat. So it's all going to cook about the same time. Like, I don't know if you've ever eaten like that, but like if you do a whole pig like that, like parts of the pig start cooking, but the insides aren't cooked all the way. Like you don't just pull a whole pig off if they bury a pig, you can do that.
That's
And I'm
growing
how
up.
you do those.
Growing up, that's what we would do every summer.
Bury a pig.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
an
so that's a
umu.
little different. I've only done the pig where it's like above ground on a spit, but for like a day. But
Yeah,
I think burying it's more roasting kind of, right? Like
Yeah,
the
that's the
whole
way I've had goat, is they actually buried it in the ground
Oh.
like that.
yeah,
that
we
would be
dig a pit, and then you put in rocks, and then build a fire over the rocks, so the rocks heat up, and then after the fire's out and your rocks are hot, you wrap the pig in foil, put it in there, cover it with dirt, and then it sits all day.
Mhm.
And isn't it you cut the guts out, right, and you fill the guts with rocks or some shit,
You can.
hot rocks. And
But yeah, that was, when I was little, that was
what all
every
vegetables are in
summer.
there, if any, like onions and stuff, or is it literally just the meat?
Just the meat.
No spices even?
I don't recall.
See, when I had a pig, or when I was around this pig one time, like no spice at all. It's like just pig. And I'm like,
Yep.
what the hell? You couldn't even put salt on there or nothing, like to let it cook. Like it seems like a waste to just cook it with nothing.
Now, basting was the only thing anybody ever did at the hog roast while I was growing up. I haven't been to one in a really
Like
long
their own.
time. It used to be relatively common, like fundraisers, parties, anything going on like that. Yeah, for sure.
And you'd get a smaller pig. I forgot about that. You can get a small pig, like a baby
Yeah,
pig.
wiener pigs.
I wouldn't want to eat that, though. That seems gross. Y'all are down, like you don't care what size pig it is, you're eating it?
Yeah, I'm an equal opportunity offender, man. Pork's pork.
Is there such a thing as pork veal?
That's just baby pig, yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, is that a thing on a menu somewhere, baby pig?
I don't know. I've never heard of pigs that they don't let walk around. And
Well, I don't mean, I guess that'd be pretty gross. I don't think of that part. I just mean eating a baby pig or suckling pig. I guess that is a thing now that I'm thinking about it, right? Where they put a little apple in its mouth and you get it on a plate. Yeah, I guess that is a thing. It's just old.
well, there's smaller breeds of pigs.
Yeah, but I think suckling pig is when they cook a little baby pig and put it on a table. And it's like eating what do they call them? Little hens. It's like getting a whole pig, except, tiny. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just from cartoons. I remember seeing that on TV or whatever.
Mr. Bob Dobolina, he's saying they call it suckling pig.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It might be something they only eat in France or some shit too. I don't know.
But let's take a quick look at the comments. So Chris Lang, 5'8", at 5'6", 5'9". The boss provides lunch every day. Coolest thing ever. However, sometimes I'm just tired of steak. Yes, it's hard to say. Michigan 4 conservative said bacon. Artak and daughters. We be some chicken eating fools. Vanessa Kitty said she rotates. DJ Play Nice said it's what's for dinner. Beef. Matthew Beaver 5026 bacon, bacon, bacon. Tim Allen. Currently, I'm eating more chicken than anything else. In the past, it was mostly beef. That's kind of the way I am. And Misha said chicken or lamb. New York Outcast said beef, definitely beef.
No buffalo on there either.
I've had ground buffalo, but
That's definitely the easiest to get.
yeah, didn't knock my socks off. I'll get ground sirloin or ground Angus. I don't get ground chuck anymore.
You say ground anus?
Angus.
There's a G in there.
No, I'm not doing chit.
I wouldn't get it just in case there's a misunderstanding.
Yesterday, pomades out there. G23 wants to know if anybody's had cow brains.
I know I've been there when people ate them before, but I don't think I ate them. I don't think so. If I did, I ate like a fork of it and I didn't like it. But I think I've been there when I ate them before when I was a little kid.
Yeah, I don't think I've had them.
You ever been to like dinners where people eat strange shit like snails or frogs or any stuff that's weird?
Well, yeah, French restaurants and
That's
a couple of like brasseries. Yeah. But I don't think snail. I mean, snails are kind of like odd, but they're not really all that weird a food as people might think. And frog legs, I mean, adventure dining. Give them a shot. I mean, they're kind of like pretty neutral.
But that's what it was when I was a kid. When I'd be taken to like a French restaurant and somebody'd get that because it was a French thing to eat. And like our grandparents' age, they don't give no shit. They'll eat whatever. So they'd eat that stuff. But, it's just different than we eat over here for the most part.
Yeah, and like when G23 was asking about brains, that was one thing, like anything having to do with like the central nervous, like brain and anything having to do with the spine, kind of just didn't ever do. And I don't, that was like pre mad cow. We didn't know what mad cow disease was in the 70s, but that was just kind of a universally, that those are the parts that you kind of don't do. So I don't know that I'm all that enthusiastic about brain, but again, adventure dining, I give it a shot. So, G23, throw one on the Barbie, I guess.
Sergeant Joe Smith left a comment asking, what about deer, bear, moose, and people? But I was going to put...
Wait, you mean on the poll? Okay.
Yeah, I was going to put wild game, but I wanted to get the meat substitute just, for vegans or vegetarians that might watch the channel.
But that's the thing. That's a misnomer of people who think that when you stopped eating dead shit, that means you want to eat stuff that looks like dead shit. And it's almost always some kind of weird chemical, slurry that's shaped into a meat looking thing. So sometimes when people are transitioning or deciding if they'll eat that stuff. And if you have to at a restaurant, you got to grin and bear it and not make a big thing. Because if you're a vegan and you say anything about food, everybody jumps on you. There's nothing you can do about it. So, you're just going to eat whatever the fucking shut up. So that's typically, but most people that are vegans are going to eat things that are interesting. They're not going to eat a factory version of what they don't like eating in the first place. But I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm just saying, like, most people that are actually doing it are eating like interesting foods. I mean, there's whole cultures that don't eat meat, so there's like whole cultures of food you can eat, and that's what most people dig. So it's just again, usually the kids that are just playing with it, they'll buy that stuff, and like the fake turkey for Thanksgiving and all that, and people are
tofurkey.
Yeah, people are going to try to be nice and have something for people, and everybody will be polite and eat it. But no vegan is at home. Very few vegans, I should say, are at home eating that when they could eat anything from India. They could eat anything from whole continents. There's no way I'm going to eat that kind of stuff. But I see what you're saying, and like tofu and stuff is a little different. That's just an ingredient that gets thrown into there because of the cultural tropes or whatever. And it's in every restaurant because of the Chinese, meals that use it as an ingredient.
Ron Wayne said Soylent Green.
That's
nice.
Like there's a protein drink that it's like a diet that people have. I think you just drink it literally for a while. It's like what do they call that? What is it called when you quit eating?
Starvation?
A fast?
Fast. It's a fasting thing. Like you drink that to maintain a fast or something.
There's a seasoning, a Japanese seasoning, which there's a Japanese guy that it was kind of like the soccer team plane crash thing where he was stranded somewhere and ended up having to eat dead people. And he said that seasoning tasted just like people. I've had the seasoning, so I technically know what people taste like.
Wow.
It's kind
That's
of
trippy.
But it's kind of like salt. It tastes kind of like salt.
You're saying that there's a seasoning, and you're saying that guy who's eaten people before says that when you put that seasoning on like chicken, it's the same as eating people?
No, he said the seasoning kind of tastes like people.
Oh, just by itself.
Yeah. I don't
What seasoning
recall
is
the
it?
name. I don't.
No?
I'd have to ask my wife.
It's Mrs. Dash.
You got to dig that out, man. You got to dig that out. Well, like when I used to keep a lot of aquariums, and the Soylent Green is people thing, like some fish food is made with fish meal in it. And so sometimes when I shake it in, I do the Soylent Green thing. Like eating one's own species is just kind of strange, I think, almost universally in mammals.
Yeah, it's pretty much bad too, because then you start getting into weird stuff. What's that called? The brain one.
Like mad cow, some encephaly.
Yeah, you get weird brain diseases from it.
M. Gabriel's out there. Good evening. Wesley Foster said he found $2.99 cheeseburger, $4.99 steak and cheese sub, $5.99 rotisserie chicken at Market Basket Kitchen.
What?
Market
What?
Basket Kitchen.
Why is homie got to be mentioning all this food? It's like 1:30 in the morning. My stomach's a grumbling, and that's making it growl.
Did anybody have a cheeseburger today? Just
No.
in honor of Jimmy Buffett. I mean, you kind of had to, man.
I did not.
I know of the guy, but I never really rocked out into that guy's songs. I guess I missed whatever era that was. Or my groups never jived with that, like guys singing. You had
So
more
Gary,
than
did you have a margarita too?
that. As I say, he's the
No.
Margarita guy, right?
He's what?
He's the Margaritaville guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I always think of Cheeseburger in Paradise.
Yep.
Well, there's a casino on the Strip that's Margaritaville. So just from going there so many years, I always think of Margaritaville before I think of anything else when I think of that guy.
He has a chain of restaurants, I believe. And
Oh, that might be his restaurant then. Are they called Margaritaville?
well, he's got a chain of restaurants called Cheeseburger in Paradise.
Oh, okay. Was he just old and went, or was it like a car wreck?
He wasn't
Cancer.
that old, 75, I think.
Yeah, it was cancer.
Skin cancer, I believe.
So I'm going to have all my skin removed when I'm 60.
There's a thing where the Yakuza and their tattoo, big tattoos on their backs and stuff.
Oh yeah.
There are some that get skinned. I don't know if they still do it, but they're skinned and then framed as art pieces.
I'm not opposed to that. I mean, the one that I'm not going to go far enough to mention that most people have in mind when it comes to that sort of thing and its use, I think sort of makes it like kind of gross to anybody since the middle of the 20th century. But there are other cultures that do the same kind of thing. If I had a Yakuza suit, I don't know if somebody else funded it, I suppose. I mean, it's just kind of macabre, really. But that's about it. I mean, people keep the teeth that are extracted. My dad had his like gallbladder or something in a jar. I mean, people keeping things past their use or inclusion in our daily systems. I don't know. I don't think it's that freaky.
G23 said Margaritaville was Jimmy Buffett's restaurant and bar.
There also
Get a
was
surgery
a
in there.
restaurant chain that existed between 2002 and 2020. It's closed.
You had a surgery and they removed a chunk of you, like your gallbladder or your belly button or your tonsils or something, and you don't keep it, then you're basically asking for a witch to use it in some kind of a ceremony. You're just going to lose track of it. And when a witch finds a piece of human, they're just going to make a little ceremony to practice or whatever, and now you're going to have a curse, probably. Ask yourself, how often does a witch do something beneficial when they're burning one of your body parts? It's almost always a curse.
So is there a limit to the size of body part? Like if you lost a leg, they cut your leg off, would you keep your leg?
I would definitely want my bones out of my leg. If I lost it in some cool way. If I lost it in like a lame way, like I act like I'm just some dumbass, I guess I wouldn't. But
Would it
I
have
think
to
I'd want
be
my
like
bones.
jumping your motorbike over
Yeah,
a fountain?
over the fountain at Caesars. Yeah.
Saving a baby from an alligator. Like, yeah, I lost my leg, but it was cool. So here's my leg. And you have it over there in like one of them glass containers.
Man, I'd like to I'd do the lamp thing. I mean, if you had the opportunity to use your leg bones, that or I don't know.
I have never kept any body part that I have lost. I'm willing to roll the dice on the witch. Ron Wayne is asking, am I the only one that sees Ming the Merciless and DJ's Avatar?
No, that's what I always thought it was.
I think
It
you're
used to be. Yeah, I used to use Ming when I was first running around on YouTube and needed an icon for a chat. This is just a standard devil. Actually, it's not a standard devil. It's from a Kellogg's box in the 50s. This was like a cutout Halloween mask. So don't anybody turn me in for like copyright or some shit. I love this icon. But yeah, that's what it is.
Well, I don't think there's so many copyrighted images used as avatars. I don't think it's an issue.
Yeah.
X Adam said, if I ever lost an arm, I would want it made into a replica of the Terminator arm in that glass holder.
Ooh. Yeah.
So, seen a movie called 9 Lives of the Ninja or something like that.
No way. I just like hit. I don't know. Foss, had you seen it before? Because I just sent that over to Foss to check out.
I don't think I have.
So I don't know
You
where
gotta
it came from, but I don't know where I found it. And it is amazing. It is a really, really good 1985 ninja movie.
Yeah, it's nuts. It definitely is. Like so much of like the gunplay and other like what passes for special effects and like the way the edits are done in a lot of the scenes is also trippy. It's total B movie. It's totally a great B movie to chill popcorn.
Essentially, DART is an organization made up of a ninja, this one other guy, and this hot chick from England. And they go around taking out bad guys, such as a Nazi in a wheelchair who has a monkey, and
Yep.
a lesbian who has 3 Nazi lesbians who run around being her henchmen. And then they hire a bunch of weird people from a jungle somewhere and go around having ninja fights. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, the guy in the wheelchair is Blackie Dammit. He's been in a lot of roles that are fringe like that. But Blackie Dammit is Anthony Kiedis, the lead singer for Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's his dad.
Oh shit! It looks like him. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Once you know that, you see it totally. Yeah.
So you know how you can get a handheld crossbow that looks like a pistol, but it's a crossbow, and it costs like $6.95.
Yeah.
So you get one of those, you put a scope on it, and then it shoots exploding bolts. So the one ninja runs around shooting those at people, and essentially, if the ninja bolt hits something, it blows up, and if it blows up in the same scene as you, then you die. So you can just kind of shoot it near you, it'll explode, and then 3 or 4 people fall over dead. It's epic.
It was also like automatic. Like it'd throw out like 8 bolts at once.
And then whenever he wings a Chinese star at somebody, they just hold it in between their 2 fingers and slap themselves. So like hits them, and then they hold it. It's awesome. And in one scene, he just goes over and takes it from the guy, and he gives it. It's awesome. It's excellent. It's worth watching.
I just watched the Dungeon and Dragons Honor Among Thieves.
Oh, the new one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
what'd
all
you
right.
think?
I thought
Yeah,
it
it's
was
not
all right.
bad. It's goofy, but it's all right.
I wasn't sure what to expect. Some of the things I had heard, but it was Chris Pine was likable. The Simon, the wizard, was kind of annoying. The wizard with no confidence.
It's been like a month since I watched it. But I
Yeah.
remember being done with it and going, I don't like Dungeons and Dragons, but this movie wasn't that bad. Like, it wasn't anywhere near as bad as it could have been. It wasn't like a nerd movie. It was a comedy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a comedy?
Yeah, it's definitely a comedy. If it would have been, it's like
Comedy
slapstick.
adventure.
It's like kind of slapsticky. It's kind of like, yeah, it's like a kid's comedy. Like
Okay, like goofball for kids kind of
Not-
thing.
It's
not
not
for kids, but for
not
the whole
too
family, I should say.
Okay.
It's not geared at kids. It's just that anybody can watch it, I guess. And it's not like there's a bunch of raunchy stuff there. Remember, it's not like they get weird. And
No.
it's for everybody.
It's not serious like Dragon Slayer.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like there's swords in it, but they don't even. It's not like, oh, I'm whatever worried about a dragon's. And yeah, it's it's not even close to being real Dungeons and Dragons things. It's just a comedy set in Dungeons and Dragons. And it's a little bit woke, but it's not so woke that they went nuts with it.
Right
Yeah,
on. Anybody seen Blue? Go ahead.
That was one thing that was a little annoying, but it wasn't. It didn't beat you over the head, really. I didn't.
It's almost like they laughed at it. They almost played with it a little bit. If I remember right.
What were you saying, DJ?
I was gonna ask if anybody's seen Blue Beetle.
Oh yeah.
Right on.
I don't know if I will or not.
Oh, it's good. If you
Are
like,
you just
Dungeons
not
and Dragons, definitely like Blue Beetle.
Are you not DC fan or not a Blue Beetle fan?
Well, I don't really know a lot about Blue Beetle.
I got no idea who Blue Beetle is. It's just a good movie. I like that. It's just like it's like a kid gets the Blue Beetle, sort of like Green Lantern. It like gets him and turns him into the Blue Beetle or whatever. Like it's like a suit, like that Black Spider-Man thing, where it catches you and you're in it, and now it's like part of you. It's like a symbiote or whatever. So the kid gets the Blue Beetle suit and can do stuff because of the Blue Beetle suit is on him, but he's not like super or nothing. He's just sitting inside the suit. But then because he's a little kid, well, he's like what, a high school kid or something. His whole family is part of it. So it's sort of like a tight family where one kid gets the thing and he can't do nothing without asking his grandma this or his sister that. So it's just a different take on a superhero thing, where instead of being confident and individual, he's kind of part of this family. That's sort of what I took from it. It's sort of a different take on a superhero being thrust into the role or whatever unexpectedly.
X Adam is gonna boycott Blue Beetle because he hates George Lopez.
George Lopez is horrible. He's horrible, and he's horrible in this movie. He's horrible. I don't know if anybody could like that guy, but he has long hair, and I think he's supposed to act like a hippie, but he's how asshole George Lopez would think a hippie is. So it's like a bad joke of a hippie. It's just not, he's the worst part of the movie for sure. But I watched it anyway.
I don't know. Maybe I'll see it. Maybe I won't.
I would give it a strong 7 out of 10. Like, I'm not saying it's a must see, but if you don't hate Blue Beetle for some reason, it's it's got a lot of effects and stuff. It's good. And it's a little bit different. It isn't the same stand. It's kind of like Spider-Man was different. He isn't just all of a sudden I'm confident because I got some beetle suit. Now I know everything. He's just some kid haphazard his way through being a hero or whatever.
Yeah, the Dungeons and Dragons. I hadn't planned on seeing it, but it was free on Amazon. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I went ahead and watched it. I was gonna actually watch a different movie. Something I don't remember which one it was, but it was something that I had, seen 1,000 times, a movie that I liked. And then I saw, well, I might as well watch it. It's free. So
I didn't realize Amazon does that. I guess I should pay more attention. I've got Prime. I just don't watch stuff on it that much.
yeah, you can filter them. So it's you only look at free with Prime.
That's all I ever do. Yeah, it's just that I go usually, like you say, like I want to go look at something, so I go straight to it. I don't really go through the front door to see what's like special or what's on sale or whatever.
Yeah, I'll usually look at the list that they show you. Like free with Prime or new, and then the ones they have in the categories. And then if there's something specific, then I'll go to, whatever I was looking for. Most of the time, whatever I want to see, they don't have.
Take it easy, G23.
Have a good night. X Adam went to see Equalizer 3 2 days ago. It was good, better than the second one. I haven't
Equalizer
seen-
3, is that Queen Latifah Equalizer, or is that
I was guess it was Denzel still. I don't know.
I thought he died in, or am I thinking of the fire one?
I haven't seen any of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Those are all good. I really like the Queen Latifah one too, I think. Not as good as the other ones, but it's okay.
Yeah, X Adam saying Denzel. I like the TV show with Edward Woodward. That's who I picture as the Equalizer.
I hear you. See, I never watched that show. I didn't like that guy, and I didn't like that. I wasn't watching TV when that show was on. So when I watched the Denzel one, it never really bothered me, and I liked it. So you know what I mean? It wouldn't rubber me the wrong. It wasn't rubbing me the wrong way or nothing.
Denzel's he's a good actor that I like, but for some reason I kind of find him annoying.
I can get that, but I like him enough that. Wait, he's not anti-gun, is he? That would suck.
I don't know.
I never heard him say anything about it. But see, we were talking about this somewhere, maybe in Matt's chat. Like, I think he picks good roles, so that's half of it. Like, he's good, but he also doesn't do anything unless it's a good role, right? So you know if you watch a minute, or you know if he's in the movie, it's worth watching. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
At least that's how I feel about it. But I haven't seen that one pop up yet, so. Did that just now come out?
I think so. I've been seeing
That says 9.
either on Instagram or YouTube, been seeing ads for it.
Oh, but it's on Netflix, so I'll probably be able to see it pretty quick.
Larry Knopf is out there. Good evening.
What's the bracket tonight, and when does that start?
Well, I actually last week I had thought about doing a bracket, but I thought you were going to do a bracket, so I didn't do a bracket.
Yeah, I keep getting. I don't know what happens. Like I leave the house at 4:00, and the next thing I know, I'm coming home at like 8:30 at night. I'm like, what the hell happened? So I just got kind of screwed last Sunday. I really had planned to do one. By the time I got my head together, it was like 10:30 my time.
And before the chat started, you had asked out there if there was going to be a poll. I was actually going to do a poll during the chat, and I cannot remember what the poll was going to be about.
A poll on what the poll should be on?
I don't. I'm really bad about that. I'll think instead of writing stuff down, I'll think I'll remember it, and then I know I'm not going to remember it.
Whenever I was working at the one place where I needed to be able to recollect stuff constantly, I just carried a little spiral notebook in my pocket, a little one with a pen. This was also before the internet, so that wasn't all that weird. But yeah, I would just jot everything down constantly and then throw that book when it got full into a drawer. And I can't even tell you how many times somebody'd be like, what size faucet did we put in the thing at the place? And I could go, kind of fumble around through books for a minute. They're like 3/4 inch, like holy crap, was that handy.
I used to do that for video games. If there's one where you had to make potions or
Oh shit! I never
and
thought of
stuff,
that.
then
I guess I did have a couple of pieces of paper for nerd games. Did you ever play the nerd games like on a computer back in the olden days when it was like you'd have to type in like go left or like talk to the guy or something like that? I can't remember the name of those games anymore, but you had to like, type all the commands in.
No,
Certainly.
Nerd shit. You had to walk around and do nerd shit.
I would play like shareware games, but
Well, that
not
was
like
before
Oregon
that.
Trail.
This is like probably before that even.
Yeah, the second gen past like Oregon Trail and stuff like Zork was like the first title where it was really huge, and then it was like out of control after that. So many titles.
I've watched a couple of I've watched every documentary, probably every documentary about the like the creation of the, let's say, the Commodore 64, or the beginning of the Apples, or the beginning of the Macintoshes, or the Amiga, all those different computer systems, and then a couple others that will then cross-reference those or whatever. And every once in a while, in one of those documentaries about the hardware, they'll mention some of the software. And except for, I've seen a video game, like a history of this one video game company, I think Blizzard or something out of Chicago. I haven't seen too much about the software companies from back then, but I think that might be an interesting, for nerds, like an interesting documentary to, focus on some of the software that was being made for those computers back in the, I guess, early 90s.
Well, if it isn't, I'm sure that it's coming. All that nostalgia stuff, goes through the cycle of the generations. Yeah, me too. Like a friend of mine,
live forever. They won't have the stories forever.
True that. And a friend of mine just recommended one of his favorite channels, and it's just these guys in Southern California who go to swap meets, and they get old. They're video game nerds, so they're shopping for game titles and for systems and like the related stuff, T-shirts and whatever else kind of thing. And so I geeked and watched about 8 hours worth of their wandering around, snagging up stuff like that. And it definitely tripped the nostalgia train for me. It was also kind of cool to see stuff that they would show that was also like computer stuff, like bunches of old Macs and that kind of thing at swap meets. So it was kind of cool just to do the whole vicarious thing while they walked around and did stuff.
That's happening now. That's like a channel that's doing that stuff today.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I saw a story about Steve Wozniak took a friend in to get a computer and said he wanted to use his employee discount.
Nice.
And so they asked him, "Do you have an employee number?" And he said, "Yes, it's 1."
Yeah, I was gonna say like 1 or 2, right?
Yeah.
Classic.
Then he showed his badge, and it says, 1.
I've seen something, I think, where it was an interview, because I got really into watching interviews with Wozniak, because if you watch them, you really just go to YouTube and type in interview with Steve Wozniak, you'll get, a zillion of them, because he's been doing interviews all the time, forever. So you start watching those, and you can see him grow, you can see him develop and grow, and then have hard times and like setbacks, and then he becomes like wiser, and then, we'll listen to him do keynote addresses or speeches or interviews with people over time. It was just super cool. I did that for like, I don't know, probably a month, just watching, different ones I could find. But I think I remember hearing something like that where he would go in and try to go to maybe the headquarters or something. And they're like, "What do you mean you don't have a pass?" And he's like, "I don't have a pass. Like, what do I need a pass for?"
Yeah, I watched a documentary on the history of Apple. And it was kind of interesting. Steve Wozniak was the hardware guy. He put together the computers, and Steve Jobs sold them, basically.
I've watched a bunch of them. There's a couple that are really good because they were made back in like the day, so they were made before like the iPhone, let's say, or before they were probably being made while they were making Macintoshes. So they were, talking about Apple 2 or 3 years ago, not 20 years ago.
Sergeant Joe Smith, Wozniak has the record for most fish species caught, or did at one time.
Oh, really? Heard of that.
Interesting distinction. Like, there are very few corporate dudes that I have a lot of respect for. But he, the one reason alone that I'm a Steve Wozniak fan, besides some others, is he put on the US festivals in the early 80s. So, he just took it, he took some money, decided, to put on a music festival. I mean, that just doesn't happen. So, and its first year was was 82.
Well, it was music and technology.
Yeah, totally. And in 82, it was pretty much the whole card was like alternative bands. But the Police were headliners that year, but it was like Gang of Four, English Beat, Oingo Boingo, B-52s. And then the next year, they ended up adding a day in, but it was solid. And the Rock Day, I could remember checking that out, like recorded MTV stuff. So at that time, it was like a who's who of early pop metal, hair metal. So Ozzy was there. I mean, Motley Crue. That was early in their career as well. And yeah, like I can't imagine what that would have been like. And all the technology tents. That was actually one of the first festivals that started to have interaction tents and corporate sponsorship, which I'm not that fond of that, but that still goes on today, where there will be tech tents.
With one of the first festivals, where that started the whole festival thing.
Which one?
The fact that he even did that out of nowhere is where they came from, I thought.
I would say Woodstock, probably 69. And then Isle of Wight would be in the UK, would be one that was contemporary, and maybe the year before. I think they were in 68 because Hendrix played. But yeah, and I don't know too much about the European tradition before the modern ones, but now you can't go 2 miles in the summer without hitting somebody's festival for something. There's like a shopping area. It's not a plaza. It's like a big ass thing out west, and they're actually putting on a music festival. So it's like Big Head Todd and the Monsters. It's like a bunch of now what are for middle-aged folk, people like my age. But it's just I can't imagine. It's like who else is going to throw their hat into the ring for hosting a festival with 3-4 bands? Most of them are one day at least, but.
So to make it a festival, it just has to be like more than a couple of 3 bands and then an all-day thing.
I mean, I guess that's kind of like, I think bare bones, you got to have like 5 bands on a bill, whether it's indoor or outdoor. I think that's part of the question. But like, I think festival has also like kind of just become a really generic term. So you have like 3 bands in a band shell, and vendors and arts folk and whatever running around in a city park. They'll call that a festival.
What's the odds of having a Wednesday night mouse party festival where you set up a giant themed event? With a giant crystal mouse head coming down from a giant helicopter or something.
Oh, that'd be rad.
Or we catch fire. There's a giant crystal mouse head that you catch fire on the last day of the festival.
The burning mouse?
It would take some planning.
It could be right after TriggerCon. And then it would be easy. You just piggyback off of TriggerCon. If somebody doesn't make a Shaka Khan song for TriggerCon, then I feel like they've lost an opportunity.
TriggerCon.
I don't know, I've only ever been to one, I guess, festival, but it was a Christian one when I was in high school. So it was like Michael W. Smith and bands like that.
Straight. Probably the best one that I've ever been to was this third year of Riot Fest. It was in Denver, and that was 3 days of amazing. And it was one of those festivals where, I mean, it's a rock festival, but they booked in, like, that's Wu-Tang was there. I saw Wu-Tang. Who else was there at the same time? There were like a bunch of hip hop artists as well as mainstream rock, and but none that would have been headlining arenas on their own. And then a lot of alternative, because that's what Riot Fest was about. Riot Fest kind of took over for the Vans Warped Tour as far as hipness goes and sheer size. But that was a crazy four stages. Yeah, 4 stage. And the second and third stages were as big as a lot of other festivals that I've been to, and main stage was immense. So that was probably my favorite festival weekend. That or one of the Fish end of tours, like the Great Went or Lemon Wheel, because those are ones I just keep going and going. I got to pass to somebody else. This isn't the subject.
I've never been to a festival, but I've been to 3 or 4 days of hanging out with a shit ton of hippies, constantly listening to music. many, many, many times.
I
But just one band. None of this crazy, but bring a bunch of bands. Back in my day, we would do that for one band.
Striper is touring again, I guess.
Holy wow!
Yeah.
Isn't it? I think Striper's just left to the lead singer.
I have no
It's
idea.
either I think it is him, just him left. But see, there's a band who's been around since the '80s. I remember when they dropped on, and the whole Bumblebee the colorway that they were using, and tossing out Bibles during shows, and like what was their first or second album, To Hell with the Devil.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of Christian metal, that was I mean, it was,
Well,
we laughed at it at the beginning, but the musicianship was there. We didn't want to stick around for the theme, though.
one of the problems I thought with Striper was they had basically 4 beats. So every song they had sounded like one of those 4 beats.
Who is Striper?
It's a
You gotta look
Christian
him up,
heavy
G.
metal.
Yeah, you got to look him up, G.
And then when they got criticized for being soft, they went to the leather, and that was pretty much it for them.
Yeah.
I listened to some of that when my one friend's sister was listening to it, so we ended up hearing it all the time. I'd be like, dun, 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 what's this? And then it'd be like Christian rock or whatever. Like, oh, dang it.
It's kind of antithetical, you know, the whole sex, drugs, rock and roll, and then within that milieu. But there's still lots of great musicians. One of my best friends in high school was a huge Amy Grant fan, and by huge, I got to shout out to Andy Tay. He's one of her, like, and I'm not exaggerating, like, biggest fans. The boy followed her around, and every show walked a single stem rose up to the stage and handed it to her. And now, I'm not kidding, bro. Like, he was that enamored with her. And now, over all those years, they actually hang out. They're like friends. So he like goes to her, you know, wherever in upstate New York, or she goes down and visits him in California. It's really weird.
That's interesting. Every morning at SHOT Show, Snob brings Gizzard a single red rose.
I
Bounces it
don't
off.
remember that.
Yeah, Amy Grant got a lot of pushback when she crossed over to secular, and
Yeah.
she had said that she had never intended to be a Christian artist. That
Maybe
was
not at the outset, but all that material, you know, once you're sunk in it, that's a small, like, people don't think about a lot about that particular genre, and how much really goes on in the Christian musical community. I don't know so much about other religions, bands. I guess just because I'm U.S. centric in that way, and also stuck in with rock and roll. But I don't know. It's one of those things where I will consume music almost equally, but like I was saying before, it's just that the message sometimes is a little too much for me. But that's just because I'm not a person of faith in that way.
I would think too that somebody who's like starts up in that realm or in any realm, and then gets better and better and gets bigger and bigger, and then wants to evolve or develop and do something else, there's always going to be like, oh, you can't move from country to something else. You can't move from pop to something else, right? So I would imagine if somebody gets better at their craft and wants to just explore more, you know, areas of it, that some people are going to be like, oh no, you started here, you got to stay here.
Yeah, and like old fan base, you know, the diehard originals, like, have some of the hardest time with that. And I have a difficulty when any of my faves end up getting, you know, I want them to succeed, but once they get to commercial success to the point where there's some jarhead at a show, it's like, that's where usually I check out. And I'm not even trying to be a snob about it, but when you're part of the you know, a genesis, not the band, but when you're at the genesis of some of these bands, when they're in first, second year of touring, or first, second album, or any of those that labor on independent labels, once the cross happens, and it's just like, now that everybody it's the club, and the cool kids club is now broken up, or at least it's being invaded. So I usually I stop going to shows by those bands, and even my favorite ones, like the ones that have been my favorite since the 80s, I just won't go check them out anymore. Kind of, I guess I am an elitist in that way.
Oh, do you wear shirts that say your band suck or stuff like that? I like bands that you've never heard of.
No, but that made me think of, because you're a Pacific Northwester, of Kurt Cobain's Rolling Stones cover, where it said, corporate rock sucks, still sucks. And that was a big thing for the flannel nation to be anti-authoritarian. It was like the last breaths of that and that generation of the influence of punk rock as well. No, but I get a lot of shirts to wear as irony. Like one of my favorite shirts to wear to anything where it's metal or anything heavy is I wear my Whitney Houston tour shirt or my Justin Timberlake tour shirt. Yeah, I have these like dead vintage ones from the 80s and 90s where I didn't go to those shows, but it's just like I picked them up. Just for the irony thing.
I used to like to wear cop shirts to concerts.
Good call.
I get nice shirts from police departments or better from like security, at different places, and then get them at thrift stores or something, secondhand shops. And then that's pretty much what I wear at concerts all the time. Because everybody freaks out, like, what the fuck?
I have a polo, which was the same as the Seahawks coaches wear. And I actually went to a Sounders game, a soccer game. Took my son to a soccer game, and they thought I worked there.
Check it. Didn't even intend that. But and on that tip, I have a couple of shirts. I have one from the Roseland in Chicago where it's a security guy shirt. I also have one that's dark navy that just has yellow security like you're used to seeing on the back, but it's got it on both sides. And I used a security shirt once successfully, just to dick around. But yeah, that's funny that you would do that as well. Huh. There's also an advantage to all of those pranks or attempts at doing whatever to having some age. Like trying to do that stuff as a teenager, it's like you're kind of a sore thumb sticking out, like trying to do something crazy like that. But there's a certain extra credit that you get if you got some gray. Like, who's this old dude? He's not filming anything.
Tomorrow I am going to it's now called the Washington State Fair, but forever for me it's the Puyallup Fair. It's the Kitsap County Fair in Puyallup, but it's always been known as the Puyallup Fair. And I know Woods agrees with me that that's the way it was, that's the way it should be. I'm not sure who designated it the state fair. If the state did, or they just said, they were the largest fair. So I don't know if they just decided we're going to be the state fair. But it is.
The promoter stopped being able to promote it, and instead of letting it fail, the state took it over, kind of thing?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so it wasn't like failing or about to die.
No. It is still the biggest fair. I go mainly for the Fisher scones, which is the gold standard for scones, and the cow chip scones, 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 pastry.
Essentially a kind of a mix between a biscuit and a roll.
Yeah.
Fair. Shortbread.
And then the cow chip cookies, chocolate chip cookies. They're large, kind of look like a cow chip, but they are really, really
How big is large?
Probably they've got two sizes. One's probably 5 or 6 inches. Can't remember if that's the largest one, but they are large.
If you would have said, you're talking the size of a pancake. If you would have said the size of like a Frisbee at a fair, all right. But a chocolate chip cookie at a fair, is it deep fried? Do they put butter in it or something? Like, what's going on?
It's basically a standard chocolate chip cookie, but it tastes really, really good.
Well, I imagine, but I don't know. I haven't been to a fair in forever, but definitely sounds like. What's the like other kind of the savory food that they would feature at a Washington fair? Some kind of salmon.
No, the Krusty Pup, which is a corn dog, that's kind of one of the iconic foods.
Like a hot dog with corn on it?
No, just a corn dog. And I know there's at least one other thing that I can't think of. That's
Well, who invented the corn dog? Probably New York or something, right?
I would think so.
I'm just going to assume that.
I love corn dogs.
But it is expensive if you're gonna do anything other than just walk around. It's like I think it was like $14 to get in, but they do the
And parking?
no God, if parking in the fairground parking, $50.
Yodel, 50 bones for a parking spot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to give people a heads up when you're going to do something like that. Please. I thought you were going to say 20 because that's how much it is to go to like a big gun show, but it probably is more than that now. But yeah, that's enough to fry your oysters. $20
Yeah.
just to park and then get out and pay everybody to go in.
And they do the fair for the games and rides. There you have to get the tickets, so you can't just pay cash. So you're kind of locked in. Once you buy them, you spent your money, whether you use them or not.
And if you go to one of these fairs and you're going to some ride and it's some kind of, like you're saying, some kind of ticket scam where you got to buy too many tickets than you want to buy, can you just take $5, you think, and go up to the guy at the one ride you want to go on and be like, hey, just let us go on this ride. I don't feel like buying all them tickets. You think they would do that? Or do you think they'd be like, get out of here. We're going to call the fair police on you?
I don't think they would, but they're carnies, so you never know. But I think that's probably the main reason they went to the ticket system is so the only people that handle cash are the old ladies that work in the booth. You know, you don't have carnies taking cash.
Yeah. But at the same time, I bet you $5 is still $5. And unless there's some kind of scanner on the tickets that, they're only allowed to, they have to justify each ride with a, barcode or some shit, then I'll bet you $5 lets you ride twice or, okay, just let me stay on here for a dozen times. Here's $5.
I don't think it's quite that sophisticated. Basically, you get a card about the size of a credit card with a barcode, and that has all the information, how many rides you have. And then each time you do a ride or a game, they scan it, and it takes off whatever amount that attraction requires.
Well, that's exactly like what I was saying then. You might be screwed. You might not be able to throw in $5.
But I don't think that it's tracked farther than that. They probably keep those numbers.
Still run 100 rides, and they don't know if it's 98 or 100. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm thinking you could just pay $5.
But I thought it was kind of interesting when I realized I hit the age where I like walking around and looking at the attractions and like the vegetable displays, and rather than riding the rides.
That's a nice lasagna. Or wait, that's a nice tomato display.
Walking through and looking at the 4-H has all their animals and stuff that they show, looking at all that stuff.
I would take a $1 bill and a $20 bill, cut them in half, glue them to each other, fold it up so it looks like a $20 bill, but it's really a half a 20 and a half a 1, and then use that to get on a bunch of rides. Because then the Carney trick, and then they deserve it because you know what I'm saying. It's like, got you, Carney.
When I was a kid, I would hang out underneath any spinny kind of ride that spins around, flips upside down, and then fight the carnies for the change.
Smart.
Was that a thing? I didn't even know. It's actually probably half of like Disney, right? All the area underneath of the, what do you call it? It's like going and getting the golf balls at a driving range underneath of the roller coasters. They probably just have like chains machines that go out there and rake up all the coins and watches and glasses and stuff that fall out.
I was pretty unhappy circa 1983. My first loop coaster, my dumb ass didn't secure my sunglasses. They were knockoff Wayfarers. And I seriously asked one of the park guys if I could go underneath to go get them. It's like, oh, Christ.
And they wouldn't let you?
No, hell no. Hell no.
Well, back then it might have been like, yeah, hurry up. You got like 5 minutes before the next one goes by or something.
Yeah, we have a brick with our names on it in the park. One of the pathways where you could buy a brick and they,
Oh, yeah.
described. But I need to do another one because that was before our daughter was born. So I want to do another. But I did that one as a Christmas gift for the family. They were on sale. I think they're like $150, but it was like $99. So I went ahead and did it one year. So I kind of feel bad if, take my daughter and show her the brick that doesn't have her name on it.
Have her name on it? Oh, my God, yeah.
You could spend $100 on a portable laser engraver. Just park something on top of that brick for a little while, like a stroller or something. Have that laser engraver all lined up with a little camera underneath there.
Bring a chisel and a hammer.
There you go. Monkey. You train a monkey to chisel her name out. Just make sure that he goes at that brick and not the brick next door or something.
Well, I'd be afraid he'd start going after the people, ripping faces off and hitting people with hammer.
Yeah.
I think at a zoo, a monkey would want to listen to what's up, because otherwise he'd know he'd be that close to a zoo.
I don't know. At the zoo, when you look at them, you can tell they're just waiting and plotting.
Dr. Zayas.
You think if, let's say there's a zoo that had a bunch of good kind of monkeys that are the size of this dog that have a tail, right? That have the hands and everything. So a little bit bigger than a raccoon, but the kind that can climb and do whatever. And they got the tail that they can climb with and hang from and stuff. Whatever that kind of monkey is, like a true monkey, right? Not an ape. If that kind of monkey got loose, do you think it would survive in the United States, or do you think this climate would be, uninhabitable to monkeys? Like
I don't know. I don't know if it would just
call
get
a flock of monkeys. What do you call a shit ton of monkeys?
a troop. If it's like marmoset size, it might get eaten by hawks or eagles or something.
No, bigger than that. It would have to be like mountain lions to kill it, or wolves or something. And no monkeys.
Because there's the chimpanzees that live in Florida.
What? We're at what?
Yeah,
Even running around?
Yeah, they escaped. They're living in Florida.
I didn't hear about this.
With the boa
Is this a
constrictors.
sport or for real?
Yeah, it's real. With the panthers and the pythons.
You're talking about some Disney movie or whatever.
No, that's real. It's real.
I know that there's pythons that got away from people, I'm sure, and can probably hang out in Florida. I never heard of monkeys living out there. You're talking like whole gang of monkeys? What do you call a shit ton of monkeys? Damn it. It's not a flock of monkeys.
I'm looking. A troop.
Is that really what it is?
That's what AZ Animals says. Anyway.
That's what I've always heard.
All right.
Okay. So, like, but if this monkey escapes, does it have like a red velvet vest and a tin cup and a fez? I mean, what do you mean survive? Get a job or?
No, that kind of monkey, the Indiana Jones that eats the date kind of monkey, right? I'm saying a flock of them, though, like a shit ton of them, like 100 of them. Do you think they would
Like a
live
dance?
with a flock of monkeys?
Well, are they going to form a dance troupe? I mean, are they going to have a road show?
Live in the trees, like birds, I guess. I don't know. If you ever look at India, where they come from, or wherever it is that those, I don't know where they come from, India or someplace, then they just live in the trees like birds, kind of. You know, they come down and wail on a lemon tree and eat all the lemons or whatever, and then wreak havoc and go back to the trees. Like, maybe they live in caves. I don't know where the hell monkeys are.
Primates have all kinds of advantages when it comes if that's like a semi-serious question. There's all kinds of advantages if you're a monkey.
That's what I'm saying.
So yeah, I'd say they'd adapt.
That's why we're so worried about monkeys getting free, or
Monkey.
really they just all die. Because it also, it's not like a jungle. They could all just die, I guess.
Here's this
a little,
is
not like a gorilla where it would need a lot of food.
this isn't the chimpanzees I was talking about, but this is from 2021. It's a troop of like 41
Oh shit, that's
Damn.
exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, see?
Purvis
Wild monkeys.
in Florida.
What kind of monkey did it say?
I think vervet.
I've not heard of that. So those like cat-sized monkeys?
I think a large cat, if I recall.
A little bit bigger than the one in Indiana Jones.
Trying to see. Yeah, vervet monkeys. Let's see.
I can handle that monkey. I imagine that's a mean looking monkey. It's a mean monkey just by looking at it.
Has blue balls.
Flash those fuckers. Can I get some help?
So 16 to 20 inches tall.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah.
Doesn't say how heavy, but
If it did, it's probably going to be in some dumbass like kilograms or something. So there'd be no way to know how much it really weighs.
so they weigh between 8.5 to 17.5 pounds,
17? That's too big of a monkey.
That's chunky.
averaging about 12.
Still,
Oh,
that's
wait,
a good size. That's like a small. That's like a pug size. Yeah. How much does that thing weigh?
This thing, I think he weighs like 18. So that would be like a baby one of these dogs. That'd be a lot of monkey to be running around still. I mean, that would knock over a tree branch. It's not going to hang out in a tree.
What's the reproductive cycle of that monkey or monkeys and small monkeys in general? Like, I don't know what's their gestation period or whatever.
It's got to be pretty quick. And I've seen monkeys with like 2 or 3 babies. So they probably don't just have to have one all the time, Because I've seen them where there's a whole show. I can't remember if it was a series or just one, but I remember watching quite a few episodes of this show where this monkey, like shit ton of monkeys, would come wailing on this town, like a big city somewhere in India or someplace. And it's like high rises, and the monkeys would come pouring into town just the way that like birds flock in or bats or something. All these monkeys come hauling ass into town, and they just run up the side of a high rise, run into the windows that are open, take whatever they want, cause havoc, wail on a kitchen, eating everything and throwing shit around. They'll steal whatever they can, and then they haul back into the jungle with whatever they stole, food and stuff. And it's all about like how they're trying to deal with that. And so there was shit tons of them. Like, they've got to breed pretty quick, I think.
So it's gestation period is 165 days, one per
Okay.
year.
How many is that? Yeah, third of a year. 4 months.
Let me show. X Adam 1 had sent in a picture, so I want to make sure I show it.
Raven monkey.
No,
Oh, that isn't a monkey.
Hey, I've seen that before. I think that was on my phone.
I think so too. But it's an HK and SIG. I like the stand. It has the
Yeah, no
little
doubt that is cool.
space for the medallion.
Is it true that 9mm guns aren't strong enough to stand up on their own? They need to lean on each other like that?
Well, they're light enough where you have to carry them in packs. You have to shoot 2 of them at once to make it effective. But he's got them tricked out. He's got a few kind of tricked out guns. So let me do this. GearWebsites.com for all your 2A related stickers, patches, posters, books, web design, web consulting, 3D printing, you name it. He can probably consult on it. GearWebsites.com.
We're now offering the service where we'll feel your head for the bumps and determine different things like your future.
You're doing phrenology now.
Phrenology.
Practice on this little dog, and I can tell. Like, look, I can tell that he's hungry based on his head.
Oh, DJ, is there anything you'd like to plug?
I sure would. On Tuesday evenings, the Guns and Barbecue channel hosts a conversation that sometimes is woolly, sometimes it's wild, sometimes you just have to show up and see what you get. Let's see what else. On Saturdays, because we were on a Saturday just a couple hours ago, in the evening on the A Grade Start Shooting School channel, there's a discussion about violence prevention and suicide awareness. Stop by and check that out. Until I see everybody else again, be safe, have fun, carry your guns, and rock. I'm out.
G-Web, see, that's the one. I think that one, the ending is just black and white, and it makes the red van look white. At least to me. I don't know if you watched it.
Wait, what?
The Gear Websites promo?
Oh,
Savannah at the end.
Sorry, no, I didn't even pay attention. Sorry.
Oh, man.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to fiddle my camera. And I was like poking my dog's face, so I wasn't even paying attention.
I'll show it to you later. Anything you want to plug?
Individual liberty. It's pretty nice, pretty good thing. We got some of it, and when you put all that together, we have a pretty good country. So thanks everybody for participating in it.
And Gizzard Gary.
Well, let's see. Foul Territory this Friday, 9 p.m. Central Time on the Gizzard Gary channel. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Good show.
Well, I appreciate you guys showing up, and I appreciate everybody out there that was commenting, and those who might have been watching but didn't comment. I appreciate you too. If you watch this in replay, once again, leave a comment. I always read the comments, and they're always appreciated. Next weekend will be an overnight. Still waiting to hear what's going to happen at work. So we're doing all Saturday still. It might be another month at least until I hear something. Yeah, I don't know. But so it'll be overnight next weekend. And I don't know what we're going to talk about. Haven't thought about it yet. So, other than that, I hope everybody has a good rest of the night and go do something good.